Coming up tonight on Husky Mag, the SESU football team was clawing to a big NSIC win.
Then a member of the volleyball team speaks out about how the sport is saving her life.
But first, the men's hockey team was on home ice. Find out why things were more intense than anticipated.
So many guys they're learning.
Husky Mag starts now.
Let's take it to the field. We champions. Let's take it to the field. We champions. I come through like a freight train, about to push the line back. Only see the gold line. Don't matter if your line stack, because I'm a soldier. You can see my face paint. Know that I'ma get mine by knowing that the rest can't. Y'all looking scared, man. Better call a timeout. I can see your eyes and reach your mind in the same look. Every play you call, you think we read not the same book. As the time tick down in the game, I'm a winner. Y'all cliches sounding the same. Come on. Ready for 'em, let's get it on. We ready for 'em, let's get it on. We ready for 'em, let's get it on.
25 years of Husky Mag, and we're glad we could be here for another episode. Hello and welcome inside the studio. I'm Joe Skrella alongside Alexis Pearson, and we're so glad you could join us because this is a jam-packed week in Husky sports.
Absolutely, and it's arguably Minnesotans' favorite time of the year, which is hockey season. We've been waiting all summer for it. It's finally here, and there was plenty of hockey in St. Cloud this weekend. Let's kick it off with the men's hockey team facing off against the University of Alaska Fairbanks. The Huskies didn't get off to the start they wanted, but the Nanooks wasted no time putting the puck in the back of the net. Starting things off for the Nanooks, Steven Jandrick on the backhand sauces one out front to Colton Leiter, who sneaks it back door to Kyler Hope as he buries it past the sprawling Jeff Smith. Nanooks up 1-0 early in the first. Only 2 minutes later, Alaska Fairbanks on the rush 2-on-1. Riker Lee looks to pass but opts for the snipe and goes top shelf on Smith. Jandrick now behind the net, wraps it out front. 1, 2, 3 attempts, third time's a charm as Troy Van Teetering tallies the Nanooks' third goal of the game. Taking another look at that one, Smith just couldn't get a handle on the puck as Teetering just lifts it up and over his sprawled body. But it's the Huskies' turn now. Paling receives the pass out front and wastes no time burying it to get the Huskies back in the game. And now on into the third period. On the power play, Robbie Jackson sauces one over to captain Jimmy Schultz, who ties the game at 3 with a tight angle shot. That would be Schultz's second of the game. And now Jackson, he's already tallied 2 helpers, but he's not done yet because now it's his turn to score. He regroups after his first shot is blocked, and then he's gonna go top shelf to put this one home for the Huskies. And the Huskies would go on to win this one 6-3. University of Alaska Fairbanks saw goals coming from Kyler Hope, Riker Lear, and Troy Van Teetering. All goals for Alaska Fairbanks coming in the first 10 minutes of the game, but this hot start was tampered down by 6 unanswered goals for the Huskies as they put on a show for the home crowd. Big game for captain Jimmy Schultz, racking up 2 power play goals and an assist, and leading the team with a +3 on the night. Schultz wasn't the only Husky making his mark on the scoreboard. It was a family affair for the Paling brothers as they tallied 5 points between the 3 of them.
So many guys they're learning. That's all. It's gonna take us a month, to figure out how hard you got to battle and play a little smarter and where we give pucks away a little bit, and then your shift's so hard for you.
It's early in the season, but Captain Jimmy Schultz has wasted no time making his way to the top of the stat sheet. He leads the team with 4 goals and 7 points, and also leads the team in plus-minus with a +7. Last season, he only totaled 8 goals the entire season, and with his 4 goals this season, he's already halfway to his total last year. The improvements don't end there, as he only had 1 game winner last year and 4 power play goals. This season, he has all 3 of his team's power play goals so far and 2 game winners. On October 9th, he was named NCHC Player of the Week, and if that wasn't enough, he was named Player of the Week again in the following week. It's safe to say he will be a major factor in any success the team has this season.
Definitely a huge week for Jimmy Schultz, and he tried to do it again on night 2. Back on the ice Saturday, the Huskies, they were looking for this sweep. Trying to get off to a better start than on Friday, the Huskies came out looking a little different. In pink sporting the pink jerseys for breast cancer awareness. Huskies on the power play, moving the puck on the perimeter. Robbie Jackson finds Jimmy Schultz with a rifle, and he finds the back of the net. Huskies up early. Nearing the end of the first, the boys in blue strike back. Kyler Hope trying to do it himself. He beats David Hrenek far side, and that brings us into the second period. We head into that second period even. That guy's a big reason why. The Nanooks get a jolt. Ross Height catches a rebound, gives his team the lead. They would hold that lead heading into the third period. Jackson coming down the near side. He had a big game last night. He would do it again. He snipes one past Martinson to pull the game even. It would remain locked heading into overtime as St. Cloud State was able to tie it up in OT. Paling comes down the side, and he finds his brother Paling to the twine, and the Huskies get the win. Nick Paling gets the game winner. Jack the assist. Of course, Ryan Paling tied the game in the final minute. Martinson with 29 saves, but the Huskies able to pull away 5 goals, complete the sweep. St. Cloud State will get Boston College next weekend, Friday on Husky Productions, and then Saturday following that on Fox Sports North.
But we made plays when we needed. I mean, Paling's tonight, big time on tying the game up and getting the overtimer and learning how to win. And that's what's most important. You know, real unfortunate for their go-ahead goal. It goes off the ref. You know, he's in the way and, you know, it goes off him and we couldn't make the play there. But we battled back. So it was great plays on our part.
And now we bring in our very own Katie Emmer down at the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center.
Katie's joined with Jimmy Schultz, captain of the men's hockey team. Katie, I know it was a big week for him. Why don't you take it away for us?
Thanks, Joe. As you said, I'm now joined alongside captain Jimmy Schultz. Jimmy, what a win at Mankato. Coach said it himself after the game. You walked past him and you said, Coach, I've had that circled for a year. It had to feel good to get that one.
Yep, it definitely did. You know, they swept us in their barn last year, and to start off the season and get a win like that is huge for us, just as far as confidence and, you know, just a way to start the season. It starts us off on a good foot and, you know, makes us ready to go.
And your defensive core in general off to an amazing start. A big advantage is having some returners. Yeah,
for sure. You know, I think all 6 defensemen played really well that night. It seemed like 4 were getting the nod more than the other 2, but the you know, Mika and Clark definitely stepped up and played some really good hockey for us when they needed to, and it just kind of speaks to our depth. Those guys can come in, you know, anytime they're called on and they're ready to go, and they're competitors, and we can really trust them back there.
And having some returners, like I said, is a big advantage, but also having 7 new freshmen is a big advantage, and they're making their mark on the ice. What's the difference with this freshman class this year? I just think you know, they're all really good guys off the ice, and they're all just really hard workers, and you know, it's not easy to come in as a freshman and you know, battle and compete for ice, and I think they've all stepped in, and you know, none of them really came in and expected to be handed anything, and you know, it's shown for sure. And there's plenty of positives to look at in the early several games that you've played, but what are some things that you've seen that you can work on?
I guess I'd say maybe just team play. You know, it's not easy to have your systems down right away in the season, and we could be a little bit more crisp. We could make some plays a little bit better, and I think that'll just come with experience and with games getting under our belt, and I think we'll be all right.
Well, thanks, Jimmy, for joining us here today, and good luck in the upcoming series as well as the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Back up to you, Joe.
Thanks so much, Katie. Alexis, Jimmy Schultz has been an absolute force to be reckoned with this season.
Absolutely. Talk about captaincy. He's got everything it takes. And now, as the season is just getting rolling, let's take a look at the preseason polls and see where the Huskies rank. The Huskies find themselves towards the top, ranked second with 187 votes. No surprise that Denver sits at first with 240 votes. Minnesota Duluth had a better record last season than second and third ranked St. Cloud State and North Dakota, yet the Bulldogs only received 160 votes, putting them at fourth place. Colorado College comes in eighth with only 32 votes. The first time the Huskies will see the highest ranked University of Denver is in early November when they travel to Denver, Colorado.
And flipping things over to the USCHO poll, Denver also sits at the top of the standings for this poll with 999 points for the season. Denver, St. Cloud, and North Dakota have yet to lose a game in regulation, while the Huskies are the only team with a perfect 3-0 record The statistics are a little misleading, with Harvard having yet to play a game, Alexis, but sitting in second place with 897 points nonetheless, providing rounds out the bottom of the standings with Providence, with a 2-1 record and 495 points.
And now switching it over from men's hockey to women's hockey, they also had some games this weekend, and it's day one of the series. The Huskies took on the Minnesota Whitecaps. They're seeing a familiar face, Julie Friend, in nets, and we would see the first goal, however, come from the stick of Lauren Barnes. The Whitecaps strike as Amy Menke streaks down the wing with the pass to Barnes, who buries it 5-hole against Taylor Crosby. And now on into the third period, the Huskies looking to take the lead after tying it up earlier. We see a nearly identical setup as the Whitecaps goal. This time it's Alyssa Eriksson going top shelf on Julie Friend. Taking another look at this one, Haig to Rasmussen, who shovels over a beautiful backhand to Eriksson, who is patiently waiting for the pass in the circle. Friend comes out to challenge, but Eriksson sneaks it past her. Eriksson getting the game winner as the Huskies win this one 2-1. And after getting swept by the Colgate Raiders the weekend before, the Huskies started off the series against the Minnesota Whitecaps strong. Senior Alyssa Eriksson tallies the only goals on the night for the Huskies, but 2 goals would be enough as Taylor Crosby would stop 35 of 36 shots. Goal scorer Alyssa Eriksson, Abby Thiessen, and Dana Rasmussen each tallied 4 shots on net. The Huskies have been averaging nearly 4 penalties per game, only taking 3 in this one and limiting those power play opportunities for the Whitecaps. The only goal for the Whitecaps was scored by Lauren Barnes with an assist from Amy Menke. Joe, how'd night 2 go?
Well, night 2 just as good for the Huskies. The women's hockey team also trying to complete the sweep in the exhibition. The Minnesota Whitecaps still looking for their first win of the season. And early in the first period, the Whitecaps controlling the puck, they get a nice goal as they are able to push it past Alder. Heading into the second period, nothing doing. We go to overtime as St. Cloud State was able to tie it up late. And guess who? Hallie Theodosopoulos, proving she is worth the hype. A battle in front finds her stick, and she ends it. Alder and Paluzny splitting time. Alder stopping 12 on the night, while Paluzny came in and slammed the door shut with 19 saves. Former Husky, like you mentioned, Julie Friend, was stellar as the night during the night, between the pipes. She stops 20, but the Cardinal and Black come away with the sweep in the exhibition series. The Whitecaps won't play again until December 1st against the Mavericks. Taking a look now at one of the top conferences in women's college hockey, the WCHA. Normally, fans expect to see Wisconsin or Minnesota at the top, but not this time. Ohio State sits in first place in the conference with a 3-0-1 WCHA record so far this season. St. Cloud State takes the 4th place spot, despite having played no games in the conference this far. The first WCHA matchup for the Huskies will be on October 20th and 21st, as they will take on the WCHA leader, Ohio State. Without North Dakota, that WCHA is wide open.
Absolutely. It changes a lot of things. It's going to be an interesting season to watch because really, we don't really know what's going to happen at all. It's going to open up a lot of doors for some different teams to step up into those top places.
Should be interesting. Coming up after the break, we'll talk some football and recap soccer.
And talk about one of St. Cloud State's shining stars on the soccer field. Stay tuned.
Whatever it takes, 'cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever it takes.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
The Huskies taking on the Dragons at Husky Stadium. The Dragons, however, get on the board first in the second quarter. Damon Gibson runs this one in for the 1-yard run, but the Huskies battle back to tie the score later in the second quarter. Dwayne Lawhorn with the pass to a falling Derek Kumarau, and just like that, we're all tied at 7. But the Huskies aren't done yet, though, as Dwayne Lawhorn in the third quarter will find a leaping John pass in the end zone. Pass corrals this one for another Husky touchdown. And now late in the third quarter, the Huskies find themselves with a 37-yard field goal attempt. Adam Stage puts this one home to put the Huskies up 17-7. The Huskies go on to win this one 31-7, and they improve to 5-2 on the season. The Dragons tallied 127 passing yards and 66 rushing yards, while the Huskies finished with 188 yards on the ground. This is the second lowest passing yards the Huskies have posted in their wins on the season. Sophomore Evan Kurtwans tallied his first touchdown on the year.
Let's take a look at the quarterback comparison. It's been the tale of two quarterbacks this season. The sophomore Dwayne Lawhorn with the reins at the start of the year, but the injury to him was the start of the career for the freshman Justin Check. Lawhorn sitting at 4-1 on the season, while Check is even at 1-1. No picks, however, for Check in his first two games. What an unbelievable start for this young kid, showing that either one of these quarterbacks has potential to lead. Completion percentage for Lawhorn 79 of 142, while Chex is at 25 of 52, and Lawhorn with 1,111 yards on the year.
Yeah, pretty good statistics so far, Joe. And now we're joined with Jordan Pompudis, who is down at Husky Stadium in the wake of the Huskies' huge win. Jordan, what can you tell us?
Joe, Alexis, it's no secret that last season the Husky offense struggled to run the ball. This year, however, they seem to have found a new rhythm, and sophomore running back Joe Blando has been a huge factor in that equation. 2 weeks ago, however, against the University of Minnesota Crookston, Joe left the field halfway through the game. Now, I spoke to a trainer on the sidelines, and he told me that Joe needed to go through concussion protocols before returning to the game. However, he never did make it back on the field and also did not play in last week's matchup. I spoke to head coach Scott Underwood about this upcoming weekend, and he told me that he wasn't able to let me know if he was going to be back in due to player confidentiality reasons. He did say, however, that if he doesn't play, it's not due to any sort of team violations. Now, with the season winding down and playoffs still an option for this team, you have to wonder, when is Joe returning, and if he doesn't, how it can affect the remainder of their season.
Now, Jordan, Blando's been hurt in the past. What did we learn from his bounce back?
Yeah, guys. The true sophomore actually broke his collarbone and tore his labrum halfway through his senior season. He, however, did not seek medical attention until the end of the season. He said when speaking about his injuries that they motivate him. They showed him what he's able to overcome. And with an attitude like that, you have to assume that he's trying his hardest to get back on the field.
Now, we know Blando is a powerful force in that offense. What does his absence do to this rushing game?
Yeah, guys, with his absence, they're really looking towards Gregory Lewis and Kurtwan Evans to step up. And you saw Lewis do that last weekend, breaking his record for the most yards he's had with 128. And now, without knowing when Joe will be back, that has to really help the team's confidence with players like Lewis stepping up.
Jordan, thank you so much. Although the Huskies have a second option with Blando gone, he's definitely the premier back, Alexis.
Absolutely, and you know, Blando's put up some good statistics as well. He's made a significant impact on the Husky football team. He's on track to improve several stats from last season. And last season, Blando only played 6 games. He's played 5 games so far this season, with 4 still remaining. He has 311 yards this year, on track to double his total from last season. Blando chases only Gregory Lewis for the top spot on the team for rushing yards as well. And he also has 3 touchdowns on the season, 1 shy away from his record last year. His 3 touchdowns place him 4th on the team for scoring. The good news for the Huskies is that Blando's only a sophomore, meaning more time and more opportunity to improve for Blando.
Huskies desperately want for him to be back, and the SCSU soccer team desperately wanting a win. The team trying to jump back in the right direction, looking for their 2nd straight win, but in the 11th minute, the Mustangs getting things going as they throw one on net. That one would find the back of the net, and the Mustangs have the lead. Amanda Hartman able to finesse one past the keeper to the back of the net. SCSU trails by a goal. The Huskies would find a way to tie and force extra time in sudden death. This for the 2nd night in a row. The freshman would come up big in the extra frame. Kate Murphy walks right up the middle. She strikes one home to give the Huskies the win. Hannah Marion able to get the game-tying goal in this one, and St. Cloud State able to walk away with the win. The Huskies getting their 2nd home victory. That's a huge win for SCSU, as now they start their crucial 2-game road march. They will play in the Wayne State this weekend, an NSIC playoff implication game for sure.
Well, in the first half, they scored on us, which kind of put us down a little, but at halftime, we really came together and just said we had to play our game, and I think in the second half, we changed our formation a little, and we really worked together to overcome them.
The Huskies have started to bounce back after dropping 3 straight. This has definitely moved them up in the polls a little bit. This 2-game win streak they've gone on bumps the Huskies up to 9th place in the NSIC standings as they sit at exactly 500. Minot State is the hottest team in the standings currently as they are on a 6-game win streak, trailing Augustana, Bemidji State, and Minnesota State Mankato in their battle for first place. St. Cloud State's next game is against Wayne State, a team that sits in the lower half of the standings. Last season, the Huskies tallied only 7 wins on the entire season. With 4 games still remaining in the season, they are on pace to surpass last season's overall record.
And Kate Murphy has been a big reason why, not usually the girl we talk about, but this freshman has had an absolutely great week. It's safe to say the soccer forward Kate Murphy was on fire this past weekend. In Saturday's game, she would be the sole scorer for the night as she scored the game-winning goal over Sioux Falls. Sunday would be more of the same from Kate Murphy as she would put one past Southwest Minnesota State in overtime, winning the game for SUSU once again. Murphy was also named NSIC Player of the Week. Pretty good for a freshman.
Absolutely, no doubt, and hopefully that continues for her. And up next, we'll hit the volleyball court
and share the touching story of volleyball star Clara Krenz. We'll see you after the break.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Now, Joe, conference play brings some of the best rivalries and competition, but this season the Husky volleyball team has fallen flat when it comes to conference play. They've tallied only 4 wins in the conference, but 8 out of 10 wins in non-conference play. Unfortunately for the Huskies, this is old news. Last season, the Huskies had an abysmal 3-17 conference record. Although overall this season the Huskies have seen better results, their conference play is still struggling. Many know Clara Krenz as a leader on the volleyball court, but there is more to her story. Madison Golden has the story.
Volleyball is actually my therapy, so it's really nice to have that.
The St. Cloud State volleyball court is where Clara Krenz now calls home. But at first, playing college volleyball was something she was still unsure of.
I didn't really know if I wanted to play in college, so I kind of just was talking to some coaches, kind of looking at colleges, seeing what it's all about.
Marcy brought her name up numerous times, and after about the 4th time, I finally broke down. I said, fine, you email her, let me know if she responds, but basically she's got to come in the office and beg us to play. I've been coaching quite a few years, and kids that don't show a lot of interest or think they might not want to play very rarely pan out and end up doing really well in the long run. So I said, I'm not going to worry about it. If she wants to play bad enough, she'll come let us know.
Came to a couple practices to see if I liked it, see if I liked the team, the coaches, everything, and I ended up really liking it.
Touch was very good, her eyes were good, her technique was very good, but she looked just like she was not in great shape physically. Didn't find out till after the fact that week we had emailed her. She was actually in the hospital. So she'd been in there for a couple of days, and we were trying to figure out exactly what was going on with everything.
And then I got really sick my junior year at the end, and then that kind of carried into just focusing on getting better. I came down with really bad walking pneumonia. So I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I was on like oxygen tanks and everything. I could barely get out of bed. So that was kind of the start of like finally figuring out what I had, because I was having problems for over like a year and a half.
Clara Krenz was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, a rare genetic disorder.
So it affects your lungs and your pancreas and kind of just everything, all your organs inside. Mine mostly affects my pancreas. Everything you read on the internet is just like, you're gonna die. And it was kind of scary at one point, and
I remember talking to my mom, just saying that we needed to work through it, like it'll be okay.
But today, Clara is doing okay. In fact, thriving, exceeding the expectations of her coaches and teammates as her health continues to improve.
I tell kids we play favorites, and the favorites are the kids that do well academically, they're low maintenance, they don't get into trouble, they make good decisions, things like that, and she's been a great role model for us that way.
Volleyball is actually really beneficial for me to be in because a lot of the time people will have other therapies that they'll have to do throughout the day to like shake their lungs up to make sure the mucus isn't sticking in there, and volleyball is actually my therapy.
We named her a captain this fall as only a sophomore on the court, but certainly in her third year of school. And I think she does it real quietly. She's not the rah-rah type. She's not going to be yelling and screaming out there, but she's got kind of this quiet inner drive that I think draws her teammates to her. And, she's not the life of the party out there being that one that's all vocal all the time, but just that consistency I think is really appealing for her teammates.
Clara continues to grow on and off the court and remains a leader and a fighter in all aspects of her life.
What a touching story. Volleyball actually saving this girl's life. The volleyball team was trying to grab momentum back after the hot start, but it didn't go as planned. The Huskies headed to Winona State, but the number 14th ranked Warriors took it to the Huskies' Krenz with 19 digs, but it wasn't enough to fight off the Warriors. They got the win in 3 straight sets. Purple's Larson with 30 assists for most of the season, and the Huskies will be back home this Friday as they take on an easier UMary Marauder team. Well, the volleyball team started off hot this season, winning their first 6 matches on the year. Since then, the Huskies have dropped 9 matches, 7 of those being conference matches. The Red and Black now sit at 11th in the conference. Southwest Minnesota State University, Concordia St. Paul, and Minnesota Duluth are all in a battle for first place in the conference, all sitting with 10-1 records. The next time the Huskies will see one of these teams is on Halloween at Hallenbeck Hall. The Red and Black will face off against the Bulldogs of Minnesota Duluth. Last season, the Huskies lost all 6 sets against the Bulldogs and have lost the first match against the Bulldogs this season.
And stay tuned for our final segment as we reveal our leader of the pack.
And our top 3 plays of the week, Blizzard's Best, is coming up after the break.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Leader of the pack.
Our leader of the pack this week is soccer freshman Kate Murphy. She tallied the game-winning goals in both her team's games this weekend against Southwest Minnesota State University and Sioux Falls. She scored the only goal in the game for the first night and then scored the overtime winner the very next day.
And get this, these are her first 2 goals on the season. They definitely couldn't have come at a bigger time.
Absolutely, the freshman stepping up right when they need her. And now for our favorite time of the show, we reveal our top plays of the week.
We got our Blizzard's Best coming up right now. Let's get it going with number 3 as we go right to the women's hockey team, Alyssa Erickson.
Tickling the twine with a top-shelf snipe against the Whitecaps. Doesn't get much prettier than that. Take notes, kids. That's a goal scorer's goal.
And at number 2, we have our leader of the pack, Kate Murphy, with the overtime winner against Southwest Minnesota State. Walks right up the middle, and she's able to put that past the keeper for her 2nd goal of the season, and it was definitely a big one.
And now our top play of the week displays some brotherly love with Jack Paling saucing one to brother Nick Paling, who's waiting backdoor for the OT winner against University of Alaska Fairbanks.
Well, it doesn't get much better than that, especially with those pink jerseys. That
Love
definitely
it.
added to it.
Can we do that all the time? I really like that.
We'll do it here on Husky Mag. Thank you so much for joining us. That's all we have for you tonight. For Alexis Pearson, I'm Joe Scarella. We'll see you next time on the 25th year of Husky Mag.
watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.